Welcome to our 111th podcast. Today we're talking about how change management and project management are different and required to deliver value. What's one thing you could do to ensure your change management and project management processes and teams are optimized to deliver maximum value? Keep listening to find out. Welcome to Harmonious Workplaces, a podcast about corporate culture, organizational change management, and workplace behavior. Harmonious Workplaces was started by independent consultants to explore and challenge workplace issues and to build better ways of working. It's a blend of theory and practice, grounded in real-world experience, working with organizations of all sizes across a wide range of industries. If you own a business, lead a team, want fresh ideas about the workplace, or just enjoy listening to consultants talk candidly about how to make work more effective and more enjoyable, we invite you to sit back, relax, and dive in with us to Harmonious Workplaces. Hello, Harmonious Workplaces listeners. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm Rich Cruz, an organizational development consultant, and this is Ben Kleinman. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Hey, Rich. Hey, everyone.
Ben is our resident expert on change management as a certified change management professional. We're
just setting expectations high and high and high.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, we promised a brief episode that does the sum total of project management and change management. We've got resident experts in change management and project management. What could go wrong?
That's right. Yes. We're going to wrap 35 hours of value into a half-hour program today.
Go.
Oh boy. So, Ben, we were at the ACMP, Association of Change Management Professionals Midwest Conference just a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about that a little bit last week.
Yep.
And one of the recurring things that we mentioned in the last episode was how change management gets embedded into the PMO, right? The project management office, right, of an organization.
A lot of times you'll see that as far as companies will place project management and change management in the same organizational structure. Sometimes those are located within finance or technology, or sometimes if the organization is big enough, they'll have some sort of strategic consulting division or something like that.
Sure.
But generally they go together.
Yeah, very well. And I recently went through Microsoft and LinkedIn project management course, and within this certificate program there was mostly project management, both waterfall, being the standard PMI method of project management institute form of project management, and then agile, delivering value faster through sprints and the like. But so we won't get too much into the weeds on that. But there was a specific change management element to that module, which was refreshing to me because I've been through some of those other courses and they did not include.
Yeah, that's really encouraging. I think in the past I've seen where project management doesn't really spend hardly any time at all acknowledging the change management side of things. And so it's nice that that's starting to come at least to the fore a little bit.
Yeah.
Very good. Sure. Very good. Maybe we do a little bit of a just grounding and sort of define change management versus project management so that we're all sort of on the same page with that. And then, I think one of the things you asked at the end of our last podcast is you touched on this idea of change management working within a PMO, and it got me to thinking about, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What are the benefits? What are the challenges? And maybe we could spend some time talking through that as well.
I love it. Yeah. I'm actually in a project right now where it's kind of change management is embedded in that. So, so it's a very, very good opportunity to talk through that type of thing. Yeah, excellent. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
So as far as just level setting, projects, at least, I'm not a certified project anything, but projects tend to be a little bit more defined in terms of having a specific start date and a specific end date. And usually they're about delivering something as far as installing a new system or engineering a new process or designing a new widget or
Hmm.
moving people in or out of a given organizational structure, something very defined like that.
Sure.
And they're usually measured along the lines of scope, time, cost, quality. Does that kind of make sense? Does that resonate with how you would define a project?
It totally does. Yes. And I
Okay.
mean, so, waterfall, standard project management is in 5 different stages, is outlined.
Hmm.
So, initiation, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and then closing. So they're, like you said, define start, define end. Um,
And
and even when
water.
we're looking, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, there's 12 different knowledge areas that are within that as well, right? And that those range from um, stakeholder engagement, communication, um, procurement, right? So then there's handling quality, handling cost,
Hmm.
handling scheduling and time,
Hmm.
but it all is defined by the scope and making sure that we're remaining, in scope of the project for sure.
Right. Managing resources, managing the budget,
Right.
managing the scope, the
Right.
the timelines as well.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
What I
And
was gonna.
one real quick thing
Yeah.
about that, and then from an agile standpoint, right, which is a little different, and sometimes we see waterfall and agile kind of working together. In fact, the last few projects I've worked on have had something like that where we have this defined framework, but then we need to deliver value faster, so we are working towards having some kind of a feature developed within a 2-week sprint, right? So we're focused in on getting some element of a minimally viable product MVP by within a short amount of time, so we can demonstrate that.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Most of the work that I've done and been involved with, waterfall tends to be this approach where you try to plan everything, or at least as much as possible, over the course of could be a 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year engagement. And so you're planning lots of stuff way out into the future that you may not
Sure.
have a lot of visibility to. Whereas Agile tends to be planning out roughly 3 month increments with a focus on every 2 weeks, you're going to deliver a chunk of value. And it's about building something that is valuable very quickly and then adding to that. So you're sort of
Exactly.
building as you go as opposed to mapping everything out all at once. The challenge I've found, and I'm not sure if this is terribly on topic or if we want to put a pin in it for another day, is that I've not seen a way where when you do agile, you'll know when you're going to be done getting all of the value that you expect. Whereas with waterfall, you may not know everything ahead of time. Certainly 2 years out is a long time, but at least you can say within 2 years, we expect this value to drop. And so
Right.
it's that challenge of managing things. Both have their benefits and challenges.
That's right. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it seems to be the eternal struggle of how do we manage things within scope of the project and what constitutes a change order, particularly when you are like, oh, well, that didn't work in this, while we were doing this, we need to allocate our resources to doing something different. And is that a
Hmm.
change order, or is that some other, is it still in scope? Right. So yeah, there's a lot of those types of things we have to
Right.
manage, when we're
Right.
at those types of
Right.
projects.
So now that we've completely defined project and project management, we can put a nice bow on that and move on. And just to return to our definitional
Yeah.
moment,
Hmm.
I think of change management as implementing and sustaining that change or that project that is delivered. And so
Right.
we were talking about a project delivering, let's say, installing a new IT system is a one that people can wrap their minds around.
Sure.
The change management component of that is about not just implementing that change and helping to deliver that change, getting people on board with that, adopting that new system, using that new system, but sustaining that longer term. So it's about that individual adoption, the collective adoption of that future state behavior, so that the organization achieves the expected benefits of that system installation or that organizational restructuring or the instantiation of new processes or whatever. Very simply put, the standard for change management likes to refer to change management as the people side of change. So whereas the project is that technical delivery of the thing, the change management is bringing the people along with that. And the challenge there, and maybe this is where we get into some of the change management sitting within a PMO, is this idea that change activities can continue long after the project itself has closed. So you've
Right.
delivered the IT system, you've instantiated the new org structure, and people have been hired into that new organization, or they've been fired from that organization. You've rolled out the new process, your design is complete, and you're starting to build that new widget, that new thing, the future state is there. But then the change management aspect of not just completely adopting that, but then also sustaining that, that could continue for months or years
Absolutely.
afterwards, depending
Sure.
upon the magnitude of that change or that project. So that can sometimes be very different.
Yeah. That makes total sense. And yeah, I kind of see it as, you have projects and operations, right? You have your project, definite start, should be a definite finish, maybe sometimes a mushy finish. Right.
Right.
And then,
Should
but
be
then up,
definite quality or
yeah,
scope. Sometimes
right,
could be mushy quality or mushy scope.
right,
Should
right.
be defined budget. Sometimes could be mushy budget.
That's
But at
right.
least
Yes.
you're trying to wrap yourself around those things.
Right.
They're
But then
good
there's
anchors.
operations, which is the culture. It's where things are being embedded into what's our daily what's our daily experience like, so that we are delivering that level of quality on a consistent basis, right? So we're able to sustain, like you said, sustain some level of performance over time, right? So
Mhm.
let's do
And
this, Ben, because we're at that time where we need to
right,
take a quick
right.
break.
I was just going to say change management is very much about the behaviors. And we've talked on
Right,
the last many episodes about stakeholder engagement to get people to adopt a change and sustain a change most recently. And it's about adopting those new behaviors and sustaining those behaviors so that you can achieve the benefits, the expected benefits of that project. So
for
it's
sure.
very much grounded in that. But yes,
Yeah,
let's give people a break,
that's right.
get some water, cool off a little bit.
All right, folks, we'll be right back.
Oh, hi. I'm Hermie, the HR hermit crab. So, if you've ever sat in a meeting thinking, are we all talking about the same thing? I have a book that might feel very familiar. In my third cartoon book, Trust Fall Pratfalls, you'll find a collection of short, funny workplace moments. The kind that make you laugh and then immediately think, yeah, we do that. We cover things like unclear priorities, communication that somehow creates more confusion, leaders who mean well but miss the mark, and employees trying to make sense of it all. It's basically a highlight reel of how the heck did this happen? But each story also contains evidence based, valuable information such as simple ways to communicate better, practical ways to support your team, and small changes that make work a little more, well, workable. You can finish each story in just a couple of minutes and actually use the lessons the next day. Plus, it's a cartoon book, so you can leave it on your desk and be the envy of all your cubicle mates. Check out Herbie the HR Hermit Crab Trust Fall Pratfalls, available now on Amazon. Visit www.hermiehrhermitcrab.com or www.harmoniousworkplaces.com/Herbie. Oh, and if you see your workplace in here, maybe don't read it out loud in the next staff meeting. Make change your friend. Bye.
And we're back. All right, Ben. So we ended the last segment talking. Well, I mean, you brought up like stakeholder engagement, right? And because we've been talking about that for almost 2 months now, right?
We've got a good couple of episodes
Yeah.
most recently on stakeholder engagement and all of
Right.
the components of that, and not just engagement regarding the change itself, but also sustaining that change and
Yeah.
linking that into project management and how those two can kind of be they should be ideally very complementary and both exist to deliver value to the organization. So they
Right.
should be hand in glove when done right.
Yes, should be. I mean, yeah. So stakeholder engagement is one of the 12 knowledge areas specifically in project management. However, what I've discovered is that humans are humans, and
Despite
so
AI, humans are
this
still humans.
that's right. Yes. So,
Do you think
uh, yeah.
change management will be easier when we're just changing bots?
Huh, I don't know, Ben. I mean, they don't. There's not always an accord among the robots when they talk to each other either, right?
Oh,
So,
okay.
I mean, I've because I'm like in a project, right? Clients using Claude, I'm using Gemini, and the two don't always align.
Wow.
You
Like
know?
Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah, right. Yes, it's kind of like that. And we haven't even entered. We haven't put Copilot or ChatGPT into the mix on this
Right.
either, so we don't know what that's going to be.
So for all those academicians out there, a good thought experiment would be to see if you can have a change initiative go easier if you're just managing bots as opposed to managing people.
There you go.
Message
Love
us when
that.
you figured that out. We'll
Yeah.
feature you on our episode. We'll feature you in a Hermie cartoon. We'll even write a Hermie book about it.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's great. You I'm just going to have my AI work with your AI, and let's
Right.
just see what comes out of that.
Well, just this, can you
And they
imagine
start up.
like project managers and change managers just manage incredibly complex things sometimes, and imagine just having a bot orchestra manage that. And all you have to do is speak to the bot conductor or the bot director
Yeah.
and make it go. And I'm just super curious if that winds up being easier, whatever we define easier as.
And I have this idea, man.
What you
It's
got? Tell us.
so
Tell the world.
it's it. So you have the one robot, you have the other robot, and then they like very quickly because it happens in almost instantaneously,
Nanoseconds.
right?
Yeah.
Nanoseconds, right? That they've communicated to each other, and they're like, we're gonna go start our own thing, and and then they go hand in hand, springing off into the into the distance.
That's
And
brilliant.
the two main stakeholders are like, what happened? We're back where we started.
That's
Oh,
brilliant.
this silliness, but I love it. Um, well, so bringing us back, bringing us back
We
to
have
this.
collectively jumped the shark.
Yes, yes, Fonzie, thank yous.
Yeah. But I'm wondering maybe, I'm not sure, Rich, if this is where you wanted to go, but maybe thinking about change management within a PMO, thinking about some of the pros and the cons of that, or um, things that work well, things that might be challenging.
Mhm.
Because oftentimes, and again, this is just my experience, but oftentimes I see the change management resources and attention at a much lower level than the project management resources and attention. So the project
Right.
tends to get more focus, and the change is either an afterthought, or if it's not an afterthought, it's just resourced at a much smaller level. And so it's hard to quite get that right balance sometimes.
Yeah. And one of the challenges that I've seen is actually from a communication standpoint, because change management sometimes, I don't know about your experience, but in my experience, change management comes in to the project, right? It's not the other way around as much. So,
It's often
um,
late.
right, exactly, right.
And
It's like, oh, we need this, right?
yeah, or something's not working right and they say, "Oh, we should bring in change management." And by then it's like you're already so far behind the curve.
Yeah,
Whereas ideally you're bringing them in at the same time. You're saying, "We have to do this project, this thing, this change. We're going to have a project management structure. We're going to have a change management structure. We're going to align on that as we set up governance for the whole thing, for the project, for the change, all of that at the same time."
right,
And you might not spin up the change as much that early on, but you're still going to be doing things, dealing with the visioning, the all of the prep work, essentially, the formulating the change, the strategizing, while the project might be really digging into starting to do project work,
sure,
but it
sure.
should be very early.
Yeah,
I cut
yeah.
you off. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. That you're right, because what ends up happening is it be if it becomes a bolt-on part of the project, right? What change management from a people side of things, right, requires communication, negotiation, persuasion, right? But on the project management side, oftentimes that comms plan, that stakeholder engagement plan, the meetings that are set up for that, the structure of those meetings, and there, how do I put this? It doesn't leave a whole lot for the the social aspect of the change, right? So from a human capital standpoint, from a how are we going to align people and have the workshops or whatever it is that we need to, or whatever intervention it is we need to have adoption happen. People become, well, we've talked about this, change fatigue gets into play because they're already fatigued with all the rest of the stuff that they're doing in the
Or
project.
even just overload from that one initiative.
Sure,
If they're
sure,
getting lots of messaging where they're asked to be doing things that involve lots of work to deliver that new solution, they could be overloaded with just the technical details,
yeah,
let alone the the sort of emotional and cognitive understanding of what this is, why the organization is doing it, what the benefits are, how much work it will be to come up to speed and start really embracing those benefits and those new behaviors. That
right,
can just be lost in the shuffle of how do I set up my new thing?
right, right. And I think one of the things that you put in the notes here that I really liked is that you put in the need to manage risk, which I think falls squarely on the change management side of things,
Well,
for
both
sure,
really.
right?
Yeah.
Right, both. I mean, again, it's a knowledge area, right? You have to plan and execute and monitor risk controls, right, in a project. But that risk that stems from people, right? Without
Who
the
keep
input of
being
change
people.
management. If we keep peopling, we need to have that. We need to have that element of risk control in there, right?
There
So
you go.
yeah. Um, let's do this, Ben, because I think we're at that time for another quick
Yeah,
break.
let's take a break and then maybe come
Yeah,
back
yeah, yeah. Oh, all right.
as opposed to just leave.
Wouldn't that be something? Uh, all right, folks. We'll be right back, or we won't.
Oh, hi. I'm Hermie, the HR hermit crab. You know something funny about trees? The most important part is the part you can't see. Everybody notices the trunk, the branches, the leaves, and the fruit, of course. But like a snail nightclub, the real action happens underground. Boy, those mollusks sure can party. In organizations, those roots are knowledge and culture. I'm talking about the things people know that never quite make it into a manual. You know how the tarantula in accounting solves a weird billing issue in 3 minutes? Or how Rocco, our maintenance foreman, knows which machine is about to fail just by the sound it makes? Or maybe how our veteran salesperson, Marshall, knows which customer is bluffing and which one is serious. That's tacit knowledge. And when people retire, change roles, or leave, sometimes that knowledge leaves with them. Then leaders scratch their heads and say, "Huh, why is performance dropping?" Well, if the roots disappear, the tree struggles. Healthy organizations protect their roots. They capture knowledge, mentor new employees, document processes, and build a culture where people actually share what they know. Because if the roots are strong, the trunk grows stronger, the branches reach farther, and the fruit, well, that's the performance everybody wants. So remember, if you want to get better results above the ground, start by taking care of what's happening below it. Trust me, a crab who carries his house on his back knows a thing or two about protecting important infrastructure. Make change your friend. Bye.
And we're back. So we're
Despite your
back.
best efforts, we are
Yes,
back.
we're back. Lucky you. So, yeah, I mean, Ben, there's so much stuff that we can talk about with project management and change management here. But we did kind of set this up with some high expectations of how do we ensure that our change management, project management processes and teams are optimized to deliver maximum value. So, you know, this is easy,
Easy peasy. Well,
right?
we touched on one thing earlier, is that um, at the beginning of any change, any project, any initiative, you should really be thinking about the long game and how are we going to get the people side of things brought in. So not just the delivery of that thing, but how do
Right.
you keep that embedded and sustained through the organization and new behaviors and all that so that you can get your benefits. I mean, you're doing this for a reason. You
Sure.
expect some benefits from installing the new system or designing a new way of doing things. You want to achieve those long
Mhm.
term, so you have to think of both, and really setting those up from the start is one way. Um, there was one other that I was going to add, but you look like you're about to say something.
I wasn't. I was just
Oh, okay.
I was just nodding with you. But I will say that and I don't know what your experience has been with this, Ben, but when working with a project manager or a program manager, right, who's running multiple projects, right? Um when one of the ways to get change management, because sometimes it's the project manager who has a little bit of resistance to bringing something in that's going to alter their
Hmm.
plan, right?
Hmm.
um but some of the things that I found that have worked is when you do come in with like a framework, because we've talked about that before. This has some evidence that either from my experience or from the body of work or the body of knowledge that's out there, right? Has been proven to help with making your project successful, right? So they are going to feel better about bringing you on because you're raising their self efficacy on this, right? Um, and then uh, helping to make sure that you are managing that, you're showing them that you're able to manage a risk and help them to keep. Honestly, sometimes it comes down to budget, right? How do we keep the budget on track? Because if you've got people who are um, creating their own tools, they're reticent to change and do the new way of things, right? that there's a lot of risk of rework and low quality that costs time and money, right? So sometimes putting it into those more tangible
Hmm.
results
Yeah.
can help.
Yeah. Anytime, whether it's a project management structure or scenario or a change management scenario, anytime you can either qualitatively or quantitatively define a benefit and a risk and show that you're managing that and overcoming that, that's going to go a long way towards helping you get credibility and also get backing to get that managed and overcome
For sure.
for sure. At that, Rich, you mentioned the conference we were just recently presenting at, and at one of the sessions, Tim Creasy from ProSci
Mm.
essentially summed it up as change management being project risk insurance. And so you're essentially managing risks, and the risks that change management is managing are all the people risks: lack of
Right.
adoption, lack of skills, lack of ability, lack of desire, all of that. And that's what change does. And project management is managing the lack of technical ability, the lack of budget, the lack of scope control, things like that.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it
And
was,
when it comes to, sometimes, some of those changes have to do with automation and AI and, some of these other things like, where we actually do have the bots doing the work, right? But to have that sustained involves having people that are controlling that and impacted by that, um, as they need to be aligned to this new way of doing things, which is, again, from a project management standpoint, it's not always viewed as being as important as we just have to get this done,
mhm,
right? Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's why they're at best very complementary to each other.
for sure.
And they can both focus on their areas of expertise and
Yep.
support one another in delivering that value. At the end of the day, I think the organization is probably not going to care so much about who's doing what. They just want the value.
Right.
And so these are just ways of delivering that
Yeah.
and allowing people to focus on certain things to get that value delivered.
Sure.
One of the things I was going to sort of loop back to what's one way that you can realize all these benefits of project management and change management is I've seen it really nicely done when whatever methodologies you're using for project management or change management, when you lay it out in sort of a longitudinal way and you start to stack, these are all the project related activities that have to happen at certain times, and then you layer on top of that, these are all the change activities that have to happen at certain times. So when you're in that very, very, very early initiation phase of the project, you're in that sort of formulation phase of the change, and you're sort of taking the vision of what that whole thing is, and you're mapping it out for the project and for the change management
Sure.
side of things. But you're mapping that out. And then you start to think about what's the cadence that we need to be doing things from a project perspective? What's the cadence that we need to be doing things from a change management perspective? When are we going to communicate certain things? Can we marry up those communications so that it feels like everything is just one message from the entire initiative, as opposed to project manager said this and change
Sure.
manager said that? And then you start to map that out in terms of, if we're going to have a go live date, what do we need to have from project delivery perspective? Technically, we'll have something
Mhm.
built and ready for people to test, and we have to have that tested, and then it's got to be ready to go. And then from a people side of things, we have to have people's mind in the right place. We have to have given them skills. We have to have engaged them and help them overcome their fears, or helped incent them to try this thing out. And so that when go live day hits, they are not just aware of it. They don't have the basic skills, but they're ready to dive in and actually start using it. And they've bought in, and now they're just ready to go from go live date to instantiation and full on sustainment. And
Sure.
so all of those things need a lot of pre-work and thought put into it. But having those on the same calendar or the same view can at least let you see, where can we take advantage of common tools, common templates, where can we take advantage of certain things so that we're saying everything will be on track at the same time.
Right.
And it helps people see that both are very necessary.
Sure. It one of the things about we had talked about that a project needs to become operational, and that's change management facilitates that. And one of the challenges that I've seen in my work is that project management tends to be somewhat agnostic to the as is situation, like how we've been doing things, what's the current state of culture
I
and that
see.
type of
Yeah.
thing, right? And it's just no, we're just focused on this is the new way of doing this is what we're going to be doing, right? This
Future
is
state.
the
Yeah.
future state, right? So, but that's where some of change management I think comes into play is because there's this understanding of people are used to having this status quo,
Right.
and how do you do this, and what's my day to day, and what's that level of stability that
Mhm.
keeps me
Mhm.
motivated and doing what I need to do.
Right.
And then we need to transition them through the end, through the neutral zone to bridges new beginning, right? So we need to have them understand the to be state too, right? Which is
Mhm.
beyond the project. After
Yeah.
so
Understanding
during
the
this
vision
project,
and the
yeah,
value from that. Yeah,
and right,
absolutely.
sustaining, yeah,
Yeah, that's a great point. That people side that people are not necessarily, depending on the change, they're not necessarily just going to dive right in. That they need
right,
some help moving along, and that can often be a good thing to get started very early.
sure, yeah, for sure, cool.
Cool.
Well, so we have not just one thing, a few things that we've
There you
offered
go.
there, yeah, right. So
Well,
a few
hopefully,
bonuses, hopefully, on that.
yeah, hopefully that gives people some ideas at least to get started.
Right on, cool. And if you need any help with any of your adoption and execution, if you go to harmoniousworkplaces.com, we have a page for you on there. So you will find information about our change, execution, and adoption services. You'll also find a whole bunch of our other podcasts, 110 other ones to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And Hermie the HR Hermit Crab, our little buddy, books 1 through 3 are all available for you, as well as we just published we published one a web comic last week, and we've got one coming up. So we will we'll make sure that we put that stuff out on social media.
There you
Sorry,
go.
Penn, you disappeared for a second. I got thrown on.
Oh, I had to sneeze.
Right on. All right.
Very cool.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you are including change management in your projects or not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
until we meet again, make change your friend. Thanks for listening to Harmonious Workplaces. You can find all episodes, resources, and ways to connect with us at www.harmoniousworkplaces.com. If you enjoyed the show, we'd love your feedback. Please rate, review, share, and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And don't forget to add Harmonious Workplaces to your favorites so you're notified when new episodes are released. Again, visit us at www.harmoniousworkplaces.com.